Okay, so things are kind of slow, right? But there's some interesting things going on. And the most interesting one to me is restricted free agents. Because here's the guys who are out there. Here's the cap space the team has left to give. Which makes me wonder how this is going to end up. Because according to this, the Detroit Red Wings have $2.8 million in cap space. Now, working in their favor is the $3.9 million of Johan Franzen, which disappears as soon as he's put on LTIR. But it's kind of weird, isn't it? That this team is going to be over the cap and relying on that LTIR to stay under it. So with Detroit, it's one of those things where it's going to be a long process to getting better. And Ken Holland trying to dig his way out of this issue that he caused. So at least he has a chance to fix it. Larkin's out there. I'm ballparking Larkin in the $6 million range. I think the Tom Wilson contract's really kind of thrown things off a little bit in terms of what we might predict a guy to get. Because there's the intangibles. So where does Larkin fit on that spectrum? Nylander's an interesting one in that he's not signed. He wants a longer-term deal, and it sounds like he's been offered shorter. Because why would you come out and say, I want to spend my, I want to sign for a long time in Toronto, unless they're offering you less years. Now, it might be it's less money than what he wants, but this is what I've been trying to explain since the Tavares signing. Tavares coming in leaves them with some cap issues they're going to have. It's just reality. And saying, well, they're going to keep everybody together means that all of them are just going to take it. So the Leafs make an offer and they go, yep, we're good. That's not really how it works. They've already started talking to Matthews. I assume they're going to be talking to Marner if they haven't already, or they're waiting until they know what Matthews is going to get. Now, is it possible they're going to sign all four? Absolutely. Is it possible that's going to cause other issues with the roster? Absolutely. What is William Nylander worth? Now, his 60 points, is that a precursor to 70, 75, or is 60 about where he's going to end up? And that decision makes it tough to sign him for a long term. Because maybe what he envisions himself being is different than what Kyle Dubas might see him being. Sam Reinhart, they have $6.4 million left in order to sign Reinhart. Reinhart had an excellent second half. So does he take that excellent second half and cash in? Or not? And it's an interesting question because, again, these guys are still out there, which means there's been negotiations, but we haven't got anywhere yet. They're still restricted. For Anaheim, there's two of them. Andre Kashe, Nick Ritchie. They have $8.7 million in cap space. I don't foresee an issue here because there's some big numbers that are going to be coming off one way or the other. I'm looking at Perry and Kessler as guys over the next couple of years who are going to be coming off, and there'll be lots of cap space left. Kashe had an excellent season. I don't know that he cashes in necessarily, to go with his name, Kashe. But Richie's a guy who either is a top six forward and he's going to be great, or he's kind of been a bust and Anaheim wouldn't mind getting rid of him. Either way, these guys have to get paid. Noah Hannafin's interesting that he's still out there. Part of the reason Carolina traded him was the negotiations apparently weren't going well, and it looks like he's still out there for Calgary, which tells me he may be looking for Aaron Ekblad type money. And if he gets that type of money or anywhere near it, the Flames are in a cap crunch themselves, and yet most of us agree they're not contenders. And I always kind of have to pause when I see a team that's at or near the cap and they're not really a contender, because then it's harder for them to keep young guys when their contracts are up and they deserve a raise, and it makes it more difficult for them to bring people in who may be able to fix an issue. Now, they've brought in some guys in Calgary. I would expect them to sign Hannafin, but going forward, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Miles Wood, there's tons of cap space in New Jersey. It won't be a problem. I'm not even going to get into it. Shea Theodore, $8.6 million in cap space for Vegas. Vegas is a team that's near the cap because they're a good team. Picking up Tatar also got them closer to the cap than I think any of us had envisioned. But it's a good team. And Theodore, I would think $3 million, maybe over a long term. Josh Morrissey, likely looking for long-term money with the Winnipeg Jets. and he may not like some of the offers he's getting from the Jets. The Jets are an interesting team because this young core, they kind of need to win this year because there's some more contracts coming up. I'm looking at you, Line, and it may be more difficult for the Jets to have a contending team and to have that depth once all of their star young players are getting paid, which is part of the reason why I could see Trouba getting moved out sooner rather than later. But it is interesting that Trouba settled for a one-year deal and Morrissey's still out there. Darnell Nurse, Peter Chiarelli came out and said, won't be a problem, we're going to get it done, which means it won't get done, depending on who you ask. But I don't see any reason it won't be done. 4.97 in cap space means that the Oilers are paying a lot of money to guys too. And that's a lot for a team that missed the playoffs. But it is interesting because of the teams on the board, I would say Toronto's a contender. Vegas was a contender this past season. We'll see if they still are this year. Winnipeg's a contender. But outside of that, we will see. I don't think any of this goes into the season. But it's interesting that it's August 8th. And these guys are still out there. So who gets signed first? And what do these guys get? That's the question I have for you guys. Because honestly, I think it'll probably be in the... I think anybody on the board... I think Wood and Richie will probably be the cheapest of the two. But intangibles maybe mean more. Let me know what you guys think. And again, I am not meaning any offense to anybody who's a Leafs fan and a Leafs viewer of this channel. I'm just looking at the numbers, looking at the players and the talent level, and thinking to myself, this Nylander thing, it can't drag into the season. They got to figure this out. And then once Nylander's signed, Matthews and Marner follow, and then you have a plan for the next 5 years. And that's something the Toronto Maple Leafs haven't had going for them in ages. I don't think the whole time I've watched the Leafs, I don't think they've ever had a plan that goes beyond that season or the year after. So the idea that they would have a core that they can put together and keep together for half a decade, that would be something completely different than anything Toronto's done in my lifetime. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as stated. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.